Hello again, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the lovely lunch. Thank you so much to the hotel staff. It was a delicious meal so far, and obviously dessert is still to come. But before that, I'd like to firstly introduce our chairman, Joe Heenan. He's the partner and CEO of Revolut Europe.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the FSI annual lunch, and a very special welcome to our guest speaker, Minister Jennifer Carroll-MacNeill. Thank you for being with us, Minister, and can I thank you for the enthusiasm and commitment you've shown since taking up your new role. 2023 has been a very active year so far for Financial Services Ireland. At FSI, one of our key objectives is to increase the level of diversity across the sector. So that's about talent and harnessing all the skills that are available to us. It's also about having a more diverse set of perspectives. So I'd like to commend our own Patricia Callan, just stepping down from the stage, for the great work she's doing as chair of the steering committee for the Women in Finance Charter, which commits signatories to setting targets for increasing female representation across their firm. Initiatives such as this are a really important way of achieving that increased diversity to which we aspire. In March, Minister Carroll-MacNeill published the updated action plan for the Ireland for Finance strategy, and I welcome the action for the Central Bank of Ireland to review their innovation hub and their consideration of the benefits of a regulatory sandbox for Ireland. Regulatory sandboxes allow innovative firms and startups to test their products in the market within a framework that's approved by the regulator. At FSI, we're ambitious for Ireland, and that ambition extends to making this country a global centre for the next generation of financial services firms. I believe an Irish regulatory sandbox could represent a level shift in terms of making Ireland an attractive place for innovative firms to establish themselves, or indeed for our existing firms in the country to extend their current businesses into new areas. Recently, we held our inaugural FSI Digital Finance Forum, allowing our members a voice in this process, and I'd encourage you as members to engage with us on this. Last March, the FSI board travelled to Brussels, and we met with Commissioner Mairead McGuinness, Sean Berrigan of DG FISMA, and various Irish MEPs to mark two important milestones: the 50th anniversary of Ireland joining the EU and the 30th anniversary of the European single market. The occasion served as a reminder of Ireland's enduring commitment to the European Union and highlighted the shared responsibility of financial institutions in addressing environmental challenges through sustainable finance. Minister, we warmly welcome your government's decision to put Ireland forward as a host country candidate for the European Anti-Money Laundering Authority. We believe Ireland will be an excellent candidate. FSI will work with various industry stakeholders to promote Ireland's candidacy, including the Department of Finance and Irish MEPs. We look forward to continuing these efforts as we seek to make Ireland a centre of excellence for all aspects of financial services. At FSI, we have also recently welcomed the signing into law of the new Individual Accountability Framework. I'd like to thank Jerry Cross and his team at the Central Bank of Ireland, with whom we've had very positive engagement. We want to ensure that this powerful framework will further enhance Ireland's reputation as a great place for financial services firms to do business, as well as a sector to be proud of that appeals to talent of all disciplines. And speaking of talent, this year is the European Year of Skills, and it's vital that we keep an intense focus on skills development by upskilling and reskilling our workforce. We're proud to promote the IFS SkillNet, which provides government-subsidised training to financial services companies, and to support the NCI IFS apprenticeship programmes. So, in conclusion, at FSI, we believe in the power of open dialogue and collaboration across the financial services sector. That's why we actively participate in initiatives like the CBI's Industry Financial Services Forum, the Climate Forum, and we are also Secretariat of the Ireland for Finance Industry Advisory Group and participate on the Joint FinTech Working Group. Overall, at FSI, we will continue to promote the value to Ireland, to our economy and to our society of a thriving financial services sector, and we'll work to sustain and grow that sector into the future for the benefit of all. So that's it for me now. I'd like to welcome our guest speaker, Minister of State for Financial Services, Credit Unions and Insurance, Dr. Jennifer Carroll-MacNeill.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for having me here, and I hope you've enjoyed your lovely lunch at the Marker Hotel. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I have enjoyed so much the last 5 months being Minister representing this sector and having the opportunity to learn more about your businesses, to represent the businesses, and to really to get to know what's going on and to get to know you and your employees and the different challenges and opportunities for the sector. And what I want to talk to you today, or talk with you today about, is ambition. Ambition now for the future. Ambition on talent, ambition on investment, ambition on innovation, ambition on diversity, and crucially, ambition for Ireland on AMLA and the sector more broadly. I'm keenly aware now we have a chance to catch up, and we're going to be acknowledging the apprenticeship model in a moment. I think that's a really exciting way of looking at talent for the future. There's so much. I know that one of the biggest challenges for your industry now is about capturing enough skilled people to be able to take things forward, skilled people in key offices to be able to move forward. And the challenge for government and the challenge in working with the sector is to try to make sure that those skills are there. But I was just saying to Joe Heenahan, sitting beside him there, I was speaking with a group of graduates and current students from professional accountancy training last night. I was on their Zoom class, and I was asking them, where had they come to study. They're studying AML, they're studying FinTech, and they're doing it in really interesting ways. They're all doing it remotely. It's entirely online. They're building micro-credentials of skills, but not one of them came from a background of compliance. Not one of them came from a background in financial services. They all came from completely different places, ranging from having a legal executive background to having a social work background, and finding paths into financial services, finding paths into finance by accessing the sorts of skills being provided by professional accountancy training and a whole range of others. And what I'm saying is, when we look to developing talent, when we look to capturing the skills that we're all going to need to drive this sector further, there's ways in which that we can do it much more broadly, regionally, from an inclusivity perspective, and making life as easy as possible to develop skills. There's also so many further education and training opportunities in our higher education institutes, our universities and colleges, and it is a key focus, I can assure you, of our steering group in the Ireland for Finance strategy. And it's important that we use talent now to drive forward, because of course it's wonderful that we have so many people working in the sector. It's wonderful there's over 56,000 people working in the financial services sector, and many more working in the professional services firms that are in the ecosystem that sit alongside you. And that success is due to the hard work, dedication of your sector, and the progress that we've made since establishing the IFSC since the 1980s. But it is always time to drive forward. It is always time not to sit on the success that has gone to date, and to look and see how we can drive forward. We're in the very fortunate position more broadly for Ireland that, despite the difficulties that we've faced over the last number of years in terms of COVID, in terms of energy prices, that we are enjoying budgetary surpluses and we are enjoying a strong economic moment. Last year was the centenary of the Irish state, and in our 100th year, our exchequer returns were over 100 billion. So that's not too bad for a fledgling state that has gone through some ups and downs even in the last 20 years, never mind before then. And of course, that's driven in large part by corporation tax receipts, which have effectively doubled since before the pandemic, which is really extraordinary, and income tax in the corporate sector, which accounts for 60% of revenue. And in this industry in particular, and I want to acknowledge that, makes a very, very strong contribution towards those income tax returns. And we've got to use the opportunity that this economic moment sets for us now to think carefully about where we go with that, to think carefully about how we invest that money, how we're going to be ambitious around setting our ideas and our vision for that, how we're going to be ambitious for keeping talent here and making life easier for them, keeping more money in their pockets that they have worked and earned, how we're going to make Ireland a more and more attractive location comparatively for people to come, highly skilled people to come and build careers and build lives here. And it is a really important moment, and you're aware the Department of Finance is considering our path towards that very carefully. And the Department of Finance and I and Minister McGrath will be ambitious in the way that is set up. I want to assure you about that. But how we go about investment, it's not just about the amount of money and the path for it, but it's the nature and the way in which it's invested. And I know that we've had very strong conversations to date about sustainable finance and the way in which money is invested and the new technologies that are available. New technologies that are available more broadly, but particularly for Ireland. And when you look at offshore wind and how the opportunity that that gives us to be genuinely self-sustaining, genuinely energy sufficient, and also drive a return from it. When you look at the opportunity for communities onshore, like for example in Offaly, and the opportunity to switch to different technologies away from Bord na Móna, away from traditional energy sources to wind sources, and how communities might partner and benefit from that. But when you look at the investment opportunities, we have to think carefully about how that's going to be done. We have to reflect that it is a very different environment over the last 12 to 18 months in terms of interest rates. And the fact that we have these ambitions to deliver, the fact that we have these government plans, they all need to be financed as well. And you know, are central to that, and you are thinking about that on a day-to-day basis. But I think that we must take these moments to work collaboratively to see how we're going to partner to make sure that Ireland's ambition to be energy sufficient and Ireland's ambition to be able to export energy and drive long-term revenues from that is matched by the capacity in finance to do that, and to do that sustainably and quickly, and for you to be able to make sure that the money is going in the correct directions as well from your own perspectives. And it's not, but it's also about investment in our local communities. We were just talking about the difficulties in finding play space in Dublin for kids to be able to play soccer, and anybody who has kids playing sport will know the challenges of that, and that speaks to the sort of quality of life issues that we have to manage as a government all the time. But these are the decisions of the moment, and it is an exciting and positive time. And when you reflect on the economic moment that I'm describing, could I encourage you to have a look, please, at the Department of Finance's document on the future-proofing the public finances, which sets out so much of this. And it sets out what I'm describing as this very luxury problem of having extraordinary corporate tax receipts, and of having this moment in time where we have the opportunity to invest and to think about how we take the next steps. There is, of course, a pretty inherent tension between the very flattering budgetary position that we sit in now, but also our relatively high levels of public debt, which stand at over 225 billion euros, which is about 45,000 euros per person in this state. And that is something that we have to be careful and manage as well. And so I know from my interactions with you that, you know, that we're all grappling with the same challenges at the moment. But where we do this, I think the important thing is that we do it from a position of strength. We do it as a position of strength from your industry perspective, but from our country, and to be proactive and not just reactive. And so I want to thank you in particular for your partnership with us in Ireland for Finance, in the strategy, Ireland for Finance strategy, where we look to build on the successes that we have, where we proactively name the difficulties that we face, that they are named up front and centre, so that government can work in partnership to try to address them with you. And I would particularly like to thank Patricia and the team at FSI for the really sterling work that perhaps you don't see every day, the really sterling representative work that they do for your industry in government buildings, with me, with Minister Michael McGrath, on your behalf. And I really want to thank them for their work in supporting not just the strategy, but your industry more broadly. Joe referenced that we update the strategy every year, and what I want to try and think about next year when I reference this ambition is how can we can be ambitious, yes, but how can we be specific about that ambition? How can we be specific about what we're talking about in terms of sustainable finance? There's no point in putting it into a strategy, yes, we're going to do more of that. How do we do it better? How do we do it bigger? How do we do it more efficiently? How do we do it more effectively? Let's name these things very directly and set ourselves specific but ambitious targets. And I'd ask you to work with me over the next number of months to be able to do that. And I think the ambition in terms of what I said about innovation is a really very exciting moment. There's a blockchain conference coming up in Trinity in the next couple of weeks. Last week there's a global fintech conference which was based in Dublin in Ireland. And we are at the leading edge of these new technologies, of these new opportunities to innovate in digital finance. But it's happening here already, and I look to City and their innovation lab. I visited the innovation lab in Northern Trust in Limerick. This is happening already, and as Joe referenced, the central bank is taking a very strong step towards greater innovation space for companies to be able to adapt and change. And I think that that's a really important moment. And I think we can work together very, very carefully, as long as the Irish state is trying to lead the way on this. We can work very carefully in partnership with you on that. And in relation to our ambition on diversity, can I just say that I want to thank the industry in particular for their work on Women in Finance Charter, and particularly again thank Patricia for her work. We have the Women in Finance Charter. We will be coming back to that in June, announcing the first set of results, or the first set of analysis of that. But there's a huge opportunity here to represent particularly the younger women in your organisations, and to really set a path for them, that they're very clear that the organisation that they work in, that the values of those organisations are set along the lines of diversity and maximising the opportunity for young women as much as young men to be able to work really positively all the way through their career. And that is a work in progress, and I thank you for your work to date on that, and I look forward to doing so much more. But the last piece I want to just reference is our ambition for Ireland more broadly with the sector, and of course in particular our bid to host the new Anti-Money Laundering Authority for Europe. And I know I've spoken about this with you in different contexts and different groups. And I want to thank you again for coming to Minister McGrath yesterday and proactively offering your support for this bid, and your commitment and your interest and your energy in it, because it is a huge opportunity for Ireland in two different ways. One, it's an opportunity to actually get it, right? And Ireland has only one European agency at the moment, which is Eurofound, out in my own constituency in Loughlinstown in Dún Laoghaire. So there is an opportunity for Ireland to simply host more within the European framework. And that's important in itself for our position in Europe, and our position in Europe is even more important now post-Brexit. But it's the opportunity to describe how strong our industry really is, and describe how strong Dublin is, and describe how strong Ireland is, by going about and pitching for this in a seriously credible way, pitching for this new entity right across Europe. We have an extraordinary offering, I believe, to Europe in relation to this. We have, our campaign is based on the fact that we have the legal and administrative framework, that is robust, that we have a strong culture of collaboration between our policyholders, supervisors, regulatories, law enforcement and industry. We have a very strong reputation with the EU Commission and with other EU institutions. We're a common law country, and we must not forget the value of that, particularly now post-Brexit, and our ability both geographically and culturally and from a common law perspective, to be able to interact with the UK, to be able to interact with the US, as we set a more global direction for this. And I think that's a really, really core point. Ireland is a very vibrant, safe, diverse, highly skilled labour market, and we're very outwardly focused, with a very large, as you know, financial footprint, but a very large IT footprint. And it is that juxtaposition of tech and finance that makes us particularly different. 9 out of 10 of the biggest tech companies in the world have a presence here. We have the third highest number of STEM graduates between the ages of 20 and 29. And we know that those skills are transferable between tech and finance in very, very exciting ways. And we've seen the acceleration of that over the last number of years. Ireland has a really strong offering in relation to pitching for the AMLA, for the Anti-Money Laundering Authority. But we'll do it best when we do it in partnership with industry, as we do everything else. We'll do it best when you are telling the story for us, as much as Michael McGrath and I going about telling the story. We'll do it best when we really genuinely put on the green jersey and get about in Europe and describe why Ireland is such an opportunity for this. Getting this would be a fantastic win for Ireland more broadly. It would be a fantastic statement of how strong our regulatory position is, how skilled our workers are, and Ireland's position in Europe in tech and finance. But even if we don't get it, it's worth doing, because it's worth going out and telling the story about ourselves. It's worth remembering that we are a small open economy and that we are subject to risk. And it is worth, from time to time, going out and telling people quite how good we are, quite how strong we are, quite how able we are comparatively, and that we are a place where you can do really serious business. You can locate an entity like this here. And if we don't get it, and Michael and I simply spent our time over the next number of months telling that story proactively and positively, then that's still a good thing. That's still a win. So we'll get more information about how the bid is to be constructed. As you know, for the first time, the European Parliament is going to be involved, and they haven't quite worked out what the mechanisms of that are going to be. So we'll get more information over the next month or 6 weeks, we imagine. But we'll be back to you. We'll be back for your help. We'll be back for your input. We'll be back for your advocacy and for your support. Thank you for it today, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you very much, Minister. And can I say on behalf of all of our members that it has been a true pleasure to have you as our champion since you became Minister, and your level of engagement and indeed that ambition is shared by everyone. I've only been in this role for a year now, and what really strikes me is that everyone in our sector, regardless of their nationality, is passionate about Ireland as a place to do business from in the financial services industry. They want us to keep winning, even against their global competitors potentially in their same businesses. And I think we will certainly be all very collaborative in terms of whatever ambition you demand of us into the future. Just before we allow you to have your dessert, we have a very special presentation to make. It is our great pleasure to have here today with us the winners of the IFS Apprenticeship Awards for this year. You may know that the IFS Apprenticeship is a 2-year nationally accredited and professional work-based programme. It's designed to meet your needs in analytic and entry-level roles. And this year in 2022, the NCI took over the management of the apprenticeship from FSI, but we still remain involved with the programme and are delighted to promote it. So I'd like to invite the Minister and Gina Quinn, President at National College of Ireland, to join me on stage here, and they will make the presentations. And the winners today are ranked first by their overall grade average in their graduating class. And believe it or not, for the first award, the IFS Associate Award winners, we actually have 2 people. It was so hard to divide them, even down to 2 decimal places, I'm told. So we're delighted now to announce that the IFS Associate Achievement Award, sponsored by Northern Trust, for the Level 6 Higher Certificate in IFS, are Graham Duff and Patrick Lawless. And just while they're getting some photos taken, I'll give you some info about them. So Graham undertook his 2-year apprenticeship with Amundi Ireland in 2021, working in compliance. He graduated with distinction, and he has excelled in areas of financial accounting and financial statistics, with grades in excess of 90% in each subject. Patrick Lawless undertook his 2-year apprenticeship with Northern Trust in 2021 and is employed in a fund accounting role. He also graduated with distinction with excellent results in fund administration and a very impressive final year project looking at the application of the hybrid working model to financial services. So I'm sure everyone in this room would be eagerly reading that. It's still something we're all grappling with. Thank you very much. Well done. And our second award is for the IFS Specialist Award winner, and this is kindly sponsored by Amundi Ireland, and it's for outstanding academic achievement at the Level 8 Higher Diploma in Financial Services. This award is to be presented to Terry Forbes. Terry undertook her 2-year apprenticeship with Ulster Bank in 2021, working in the regulation field. She's graduated with first-class honours and a highly commendable 80% average across all subjects. She submitted her final year project, which focused on regulatory engagement management information reporting, and achieved exceptional results in business data analysis, data mining and machine learning. Now, Terry has a really good reason not to be actually here today. She's just given birth to identical twins, so definitely an overachiever in many ways. So on her behalf, I'm delighted to welcome Elaine Warren, Learning Consultant at Ulster Bank, to accept the award on her behalf. So thank you all very much again. I would invite you all obviously to stay, have a leisurely dessert, do some more networking. But can I also just take this opportunity to thank you all for being our members. We certainly don't take it for granted. We are only as strong as your contribution. And I'd particularly like to thank our chair, Joe Heenan, and all of our board members who really give us a lot of their time and expertise, and all of our chairs of our working groups. And going forward, I think we'd like to obviously always see more engagement, so we'd encourage you to certainly get more involved. I'd also really like to thank our team in FSI for pulling today's event together, and Louise has actually done sterling work right here, deserves a tremendous round of applause. So thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.